Next up, we
Get
have
on with our jobs.
So we have ourselves next up, kind of on the same point. We've done the ladder predictions already. We've gone 1 through 18 now. We want to do a bit of an early All-Australian squad prediction.
Love it.
So we have made up our teams. We won't have graphics, but we'll be able to mention our teams. Do we want to go backlines, then your backline, then my backline, your midfield, then my midfield, kind of go back and forth and compare?
I think doing backlines first is fine. I think we do my backline, your backline, my midfield, your midfield.
Yeah, bang on.
And
Easy
then I
as.
think we'll finish with a bench. Just put 4 players on the bench. I don't know if you did a bench.
I did a bench too. It's all Australian 22. I'm going to put 22 in
Love. Okay, good. You didn't do a 23. You didn't do the woke thing. I love that shit.
We're on the same page. We're so good at this. We're so good. Let's go, baby.
No.
Oh, my miss. All right, backline. Let's go. Pemmy, ignore what just happened. Behm, we're going to go.
Okay, so my
Yep, sorry. Go
Yep.
backline.
okay, my backline. Starting off, we have Brandon Starcevich, Harris Andrews, Callum Wilkie, Tom Stewart, Sam Taylor, and Daniel Rioli.
Ooh,
A very interesting backline.
very.
I love doing my thing where I have a set team that I love to follow. I think that that's the best way to win a championship, a premiership. I talked about that in my finals prediction on my Premiership Quarter channel. Go check it out if you want to. Yes, I have a shameless plug
Is
addiction.
that thing still active?
Nope.
What are you plugging?
Uh,
You
I
ain't
am
plugging anything that's alive.
I am plugging a 5-month-old video.
Yeah,
so
nice
it does
one.
not matter.
Fantastic.
But Starcevich, I think I've got Brisbane finishing top 4. He has been a crucial part to their success over the last 5 years, arguably the best lockdown defender. And I think now with a Brisbane team that has lost their forward line with Joe Danaher, I think that provides another spot for them to have a All-Australian caliber player. Similar to Harris Andrews, I think he makes the team this year. He was fantastic last year, was very unlucky to not make the final team. And I just think that he is a fullback. He's a great leader. He makes the team because he carries Brisbane's backline pretty much. Callum Wilkie, been in the team last 2 years. I don't know if it was in the squad or the actual team last year, but he's been fantastic. Always
Squad,
a lockdown.
I think.
Yeah, could have been the squad. Wilkie is just one of the best lockdown defenders you'll ever see. He does not lose one-on-ones. He plays every single game as well. Barely comes off as well. So he is a crucial piece to St Kilda's backline. Now that there's no Josh Battle as well, there's even more pressure on him to perform, and I think he takes that in every stride. You've got Tom Stewart. Whilst I don't have Geelong playing well, he always makes the All-Australian squad, except for last year, I think, because he didn't play enough games.
Yeah.
Sam Taylor, we saw how good he was on the weekend. If he stays fit, he makes it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's too impactful to ignore, and he's been putting up amazing one-on-one and defensive stats. Again, if he had played enough games, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, game 0 even of the season, and he's already showing people, hey, I'm still here.
We're not even in round
GWS has a fantastic midfield, but they've got star backmen as well.
We're not even in round 1 and is already being the best defender in the league this season. Crazy, right?
Insane.
And then Daniel Rioli. I think
That was the one I'm interested in.
I think now, obviously, I've got Gold Coast finishing the 8, so that's a big reason. But I think with proper key defenders around him, he will be absolutely unleashed off the half-back line. You've got Collins, Ballard, and Mac Andrew probably playing along in the back line. And then you've got Jeffrey, Powell, and Butterick alongside him. Potentially Noble if he wants to play on the half-back or wing.
Yeah.
He'll probably switch. But I just think he gets unleashed. He doesn't need to do any defensive work, and he will just be providing so much ball to the Gold Coast forward line that he could be easily a top 3 halfback flanker this year, alongside the likes of Sinclair, Houston, and all those, because he was really good for Richmond last year. And when he's in a successful team, it'll be even more important for them.
Cool.
Let's go to my midfield and wingers. My ruckman. You will never guess who I have. I want you to guess right
Rowan
now.
Marshall.
Nope.
Tristan Sherry.
Nope.
Max Gorn.
Nope.
Brody Grundy.
Nope.
Riley O'Brien.
Nope.
Jared Witts.
Nope.
What the hell? Who am I? Darcy Cameron?
Nope. It's not Tim English. This guy last year missed out on the grand final.
Big O.
Big O.
Oh, okay. No, I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
I think if Brisbane want to get there again, he's going to be the one because he missed out on last year. Obviously, he gave all the rewards to Darcy Fort. Obviously, that connection was fantastic. I think he will push them, and I think this is the year he absolutely takes the mantle. He was fantastic last year. He doesn't really have the game of an All-Australian ruckman, but I think he gets recognised this year. Got Nick Dacos, Caleb Sarong, and Paddy Cripps as my 3 midfielders. Dacos, no surprise, obviously cramping, all that stuff on the weekend. He's still fantastic. I do need one in there. Sorry, Ethan. It's just the one. Caleb Sarong, I had...
He's like, why is Josh not in there?
Caleb Sarong, I had finishing 3rd in my Brownlow, so obviously he's going to be in my midfield. Yep. He's probably Fremantle's best midfielder now. He was fantastic last year. He's going to absolutely push in the Brownlow this year. And whilst I still have Fremantle just missing the 8, they're still going to be very, very good and probably win 14 games this year.
Yep.
And then Paddy Cripps, obviously, pretty obvious pick there.
He's Brownlow medalist. He just has to put up even like 3/4 of a season he had, which obviously is still a lot. Like, to be named All-Australian, you still have to have a good season. But we know it won't. Even if he doesn't hit the peak of his usual, he'll still get an All-Australian spot.
And then my 2 wingers, I haven't picked a single winger.
Yeah, neither. Technically.
Errol Goulden's in. Okay, mine's kind of like half-half. Errol Goulden's injured. I don't think D'Ambrosio will get to that height again. I don't think Dacos will get to that height again. Speaking about Josh, who else can you talk about there, really? There's not that many elite level wingers that will be able to get to the All-Australian level.
I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I've gone someone who's played on the wing a little bit in Sam Walsh. And I've gone Harry Sheasel.
On the wing?
On the wing.
Yeah, fair enough, I guess.
Sheasel isn't an in midfielder.
I was going to say he's not in midfielder. He's not really. He's kind of a floater at the moment.
Exactly. So you sort of get that sometimes where a midfielder plays out. I think I had Nick Dacos on the wing last year.
Yeah.
So I sort of see him doing something similar. I think that he will help North Melbourne get a bit better. I think they could win easily 5 to 7 games this year, which is what they should be doing. And I think that with how he plays with damage up forward is going to be really important. You've got now midfield support around him to the point he doesn't need to be in there. And I think sacrificing that a little bit to get more damage in front of the ball is really important. And then Sam Walsh, I have Carlton finishing 5th or 8th or something. So having 2 in there makes sense because I actually have got 3. But I think having Sam Walsh having a big year is a big reason as to why Carlton, even with all the injuries, will still make finals.
Yeah, okay. I think Sam Walsh often does find himself like kind of behind Paddy Cripps a lot, and maybe the reason why he doesn't get himself those picks. But he's going to have a fantastic year. He's going to have a really, really good year if they're both going to make it, I reckon.
He's in their team tonight playing, so I think he should be fine.
Yeah. I think, look, I'm okay with most of that. I think I'm surprised by the big O1. I like it because I think it would be awesome. But he just doesn't have the type of game that gets recognised in all Australians, does it? Unless he was to be a ruckman that is so dominant and so good in terms of taps to advantage and pressure acts and stuff like that.
I just wanted that pick. I loved him. I think he deserves it.
Fair enough. Let's go to the forward
Gamble
line.
responsibly.
Thank you for that.
Okay, forward line. Jason Horne-Francis. Charlie Curnow.
What? You have what in the forward line?
Charlie Curnow, Marcus Bontempelli, Charlie Cameron, Nick Larkey, and Ben Ainsworth.
What the hell is it? Hold on, can you repeat this all for me? I need to ingest this.
Jason Horne-Francis.
Yep.
Charlie Curnow. Marcus Bontempelli, Charlie Cameron, Nick Larkey, Ben Ainsworth.
Okay, so the Bont makes a little bit more sense to me because Heaney got himself a forward spot last year, and he was much more of a midfielder.
Yep.
But that being said, Heaney played for the minor premiers that season.
But it's Bont. When you're talking about getting it based off of legacy, and basically what Tom Stewart did, basically, or James Sicily, where they just get it based off of reputation, that's where I have Bont doing it.
Okay, I was expecting him interchange.
I've got a couple others on interchange that we will get to later.
Yeah, we'll
that
get to
you've
that.
had in your team.
Yep.
So it's not like I'm missing them.
Yep.
Charlie Cameron, no Joe Danaher this year. I don't see Eric Hipwood finishing third in the Brownlow like you do. Third in the Coleman.
If he was third in Brownlow, that'd be a monumental upgrade for Brisbane.
But I see Charlie Cameron getting back to his absolute best this year.
Yeah.
I think
That's a good pick.
if we've got Brisbane in the top 4, they're going to need goals from somewhere. They've lost Lincoln McCarthy to an ACL already this year.
That's awful, man.
Absolutely horrible. And
He
on
had
the same
such an
knee.
up and down career too.
Yeah, and on the same knee. So it's really unfortunate, but I see him getting back to it. He's got support around him still with his small forwards, so I think he's really important. Jason Horne-Francis and Ben Ainsworth. Those are 2 names that not many people would have.
Ainsworth is Gold Coast, right?
Ainsworth is Gold Coast, the number 9. I had him finishing in my squad last year. He didn't get quite to that levels, but I think he can average 22 to 25 touches and over a goal a game.
If Gold Coast can break out like you think they can, there is a chance.
That's the reason. I have Gold Coast finishing in the, I think, 6th. So me having, I think, 3 Gold Coast players in my All-Australian squad makes sense off the back of that.
Yeah.
But Jason Horne-Francis, no butters to the start of the year. And I just think that's a big reason why he breaks out into this All-Australian squad. I can't remember if he made the squad last year, but I think he's one that makes the half-forward flank as a midfielder because that's what the All-Australian squad does.
Yeah.
And then Curnow and Larkey. I've got Curnow winning my Coleman and Larkey finishing 3rd. It sort of makes sense.
Yeah. I think a lot of forward is based off of Coleman predictions, right? So,
Yeah.
For example, my Coleman predictions, I haven't got Eric Hipwood in there,
Mm-hmm.
but I've got Nick Larkey and Jesse Hogan, who are 1 and 2.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that makes sense. But
Yeah.
in terms of, that was a lot to think of there, but you've got some decent explanations, right? Jason Horne-Francis, as much as I hate to say it, is a good player. He I think the All-Australian is absolutely a possibility. Forward line is an interesting one, but again, he does get that rotation time in there. He could be that Isaac Heaney type this year, where he's such a good midfielder that he gets put in the forward line because they need to put him somewhere.
He's also the type of midfielder and / forward that sort of gets into that role because that's the player that everyone loves.
Yeah.
Right? Your Dusties, your Bonds, the Heaneys of the world, the Jordan De Goeys of the world, that are midfielders at times, but can also
go forward and kick some goals.
Yeah. So I sort of see that's where, because he could kick 30 goals and average 25 touches this year very easily.
Yeah, there's a chance. Absolutely. Ben Ainsworth, like you said, depends on how Gold Coast do this year. I'm trying to think of any other forwards who may potentially take that from him. I really like the Charlie Cameron pick. That's one I really like.
Yeah.
I think that's very logical as well. Joe Danaher being gone, he needs to step up. It's why I put Hipwood in 3rd for the Coleman, because he needs to step up. He's going to get a lot more target. But Cameron as well, he's going to need to step up too.
Yeah.
And I think, especially with Lincoln McCarthy gone, he is now the main... I think he already
always was,
but you know, less help means he has to put more on his shoulders. There's an absolute chance that he has an All-Australian season.
On our bench now, I have Nick Blakey, which you had in your
I have my team.
100% makes the team, honestly, this year. I think he pretty much made it last year, I think.
I can't remember, but...
he was definitely in the squad. I can't remember if he made the team.
Yeah.
Noah Anderson,
That's another...
obviously. He just doesn't make it because he doesn't have the name as a Dacos
Yeah, that's
Cripps.
definitely...
Even a Sarong. Chad Warner, I've got in my bench.
Yep.
And then the one change that I did make aside from the Heaney Bont is I moved Rankin in over Jeremy Cameron.
Okay. So Jeremy Cameron gets the boot.
Yeah, Cameron gets the boot. I
Rankin
have
goes
Geelong
in.
finishing outside the 8, and that probably means they don't deserve 2 All-Australians, and that means Rankin makes a team. So the one that I have right on the outside is Will Day. He was the one who was potentially making it over Chad Warner, given how good we saw him against Sydney, because he was fantastic. But I think Rankin, obviously, I talked about in my Adelaide prediction, where I have him really, really breaking out this year as basically a midfielder. But obviously, he's that player that still damages in the forward line, similar to Horne-Francis. And then Chad Warner, we saw how good he was last year.
Yep.
So without Errol Goulden now, he takes a bit of extra responsibility, and I think he takes that in his stride.
Beautiful. I think, very well explained. I think most of it Makes a lot of sense. I'm surprised with the Jeremy Cameron boot, if I'm being honest. I think Jeremy Cameron is so necessary to what Geelong does.
But again, we've got them very different on the ladder.
That too. Yeah,
So
no, that's fair.
I've got them 12th. You've got them 3rd.
I've got them in the top 4, I'm pretty sure.
That's very different.
So it's going to be a very interesting look to see how that forward line shapes out.
Yeah, very
I think
interesting.
we were very, very all over the place with that forward line. But at the same time, I think a lot of it makes sense, right? We made we made the necessary changes.
So long as you make an argument and provide valid reasons for your pick, you cannot say that it's wrong because it's a prediction.
All right.
Right? You can disagree, but you cannot say that it's wrong.
Okay, so my first pick for my interchanger, Harry Sheasel.
Yeah, I've got him on
I was
my
going to
team.
say it's fair, but I just like that I bring a North player on as soon as you mention that.
I've got him on my team, so I can't argue with
Yeah.